I want to know everything there is to know about you.
I'm going to introduce me.
You must have spotted her by now. She's always there.
Don't I deserve love?
Somebody has to like me best.
It's not because the gays know theater. It's because the gays just know how to do stuff, you know? I mean, they're survivors. And for some reason, they're always obsessed with me. I don't know why. I like it.
Hello, and welcome to the Don't Know Her podcast. I'm Michael.
And I am Scott.
It is pretty clear from the title and from the clip you just heard that we're focusing on Jennifer Coolidge. Coolidge.
Thank God, finally! Coolidge. Jennifer Coolidge.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why, really, we've been doing this mini-season on TV actors, is presuming and kind of knowing that she was going to have this crowning moment when she won her first competitive major award for acting in The White Lotus, and she got her Emmy, and she had a wonderful, chaotic speech, which we will forever love, her dancing while being played off.
Team, wait, hold on. No, this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and I'm full. Wait. Hold on, wait. Jacob Fenton, UTA, and Jonathan Weinstein, and Tiffany Kuzan at Mosaic. And my sister is here tonight, and wait, hold on one thing. Wait, hold on, okay.
So...
Those awful people.
Awful. Yeah, there was something going on there because other people got to speak for much longer or sing and all sorts, but she was played off pretty sharply. They had no time for her. But we have all the time for Jennifer, and we have been waiting, as you say, for so long to do this episode. And she's just like such a joy, like a definition of like joyful in terms of interviews, in terms of her presence on screen. I just absolutely love this woman, and ever since I locked eyes on her in Legally Blonde, just always loved to see her.
Yeah, she is a one-of-a-kind, beloved by the gays, as we've already heard. In fact, has she ever actually been performed as part of Snatch Game on Drag Race?
Oh my God, no, that is...
I don't think she has.
That would be a perfect
What?
person. Well, maybe she has. Has she even been on Drag Race? Maybe she's too,
No,
rude, wouldn't know what to do with her on the panel.
Maybe it's too obvious, but it's like, come on. No, that's very strange. Something's up there that she hasn't been seen in any form on that show.
But please, we could be totally wrong. Maybe it's been done. But
yeah, it's been done 3 times.
And she really is having this moment that we wish for the actors that we talk about on this show. This, like, being in the White Lotus, people falling over themselves to celebrate her, and rightly so, because Mike White has created this really wonderful character.
It's a wonderful thing that the White Lotus has come around, both because we get to see more terrific writing from Mike White, who we recently discussed briefly on one of our last podcasts, but also to get a part for Jennifer Coolidge, which allows her to do new and wonderful things for her as a performer that finally snatch her the Emmy and give her the moment that she truly deserves. And it's something that everyone wants. Everyone should have been wanting this their whole lives, and she now has a piece of decent goldware for her mantle top.
Yeah, and for those who don't know what White Lotus is, it's this terrific TV show about a group of very privileged people arriving at a White Lotus accommodation. Accommodation sounds bad. Like a huge hotel, like the fanciest hotel you could ever get. Premium experience. And Jennifer plays Tanya McQuaid. Her introduction, like where she explains how to pronounce her name, is like wonderful.
Are you Ms. McQuaid?
Quad. One syllable.
McQuad.
Well,
two syllables, but the second part is one syllable. Wad. MacWad.
And to watch her and the other guests spend their time at the White Lotus with very dramatic and very interesting, I don't know, resolutions, I guess, or it's just wonderful. Like, I just find whatever Mike White has found about like these overly privileged people and the points he's making, I just couldn't get enough of it and cannot wait for the second season, which Jennifer is returning to. Would you have a favorite moment from Jennifer in the White Lotus?
Jennifer and the White Lotus. Oh gosh, there are so many. She's sort of, what is wonderful about her performance is, it's not to say it's the same the whole way through. It's not, but it's very measured, and she's maintaining this sort of spaced out energy throughout it. I love the moment where she is with the misuse, who she keeps going back to time and time again. So any time that she's with her, and that story sort of develops, and it starts from a weird place in her telling her about the experience she had, so why she wants to keep coming back, and like standing on a mountain with a cyanide pill or something, I think she says. Lots of memorable moments.
Wonderful, yeah. Natasha Rothwell, who plays the Misuist?
She's the Misuist.
She's wonderful. I absolutely love her scenes where she's kind of having a breakdown with this man that she's just met, played by John Grius. Is that how you say his name? And she's just basically like, get out of here. Like, I'm a mess. Leave me alone.
So now you see, that's the core of the onion. Is that ready? This is it. This is the core of the onion, and I don't want it. I want you to get out of here and save yourself, because I'm like a dead end, you know, that just has a trap door, and I think you should get out. I don't want you to take these things. I want you to take them. I want you to get out.
And you're just like, this is incredible. Like, no wonder Mike White thought of Jennifer and wrote this part for her, and she just nails it. And so, yeah, going into the Emmys and planning this sort of TV miniseries, it was clear we had to focus on Jennifer Coolidge, because it was clear she was going to win. But unlike people we've previously talked about in this miniseries, like Jean Smart or Lisa Kudrow or even Jeffrey Wright, in a way, Jennifer Coolidge is like a proper film actor. Like, that, she's famous for film. Like, I know she's done lots of TV, but it's not TV that launched her initially. And so her like transforming or going into TV and getting her Emmy before even like a Golden Globe nomination, which seemed within reach, I'm sure, and it will be at some point for film. But yeah, so it seemed mad to me. So she's atypical compared to those guys we've just recently talked about. And actually, so many films, from epic movie to obviously American Pie, and then like more recent things like Promising Young Woman and Swan Song. It's a really interesting mix of films for someone who has clearly been typecast as this kind of dumb woman who's very interested in what her appearance is and a certain type of kind of American culture and American class. Most of the time, she's very interesting to watch, even though she has always been typecast, it feels like, in all the films that we will mostly talk about.
Yeah, no, for sure. But in this case, as with maybe some others we've spoken about before, the typecasting of Jennifer is not without its joy, because she does it so well. So if it was just a case of she's been typecast and she has so much more to give, which is true, if it wasn't true that she also was pitch perfect in nailing the things that she has done over and over again, it would be very frustrating. But it is less frustrating because of the absolute joy that it brings seeing her do this thing.
For sure. And like, some of the films we'll talk about are not as well scripted or put together as others. And some of the jokes fall flat, and it's not her fault, but yet there is, as you say, some sort of joy at watching her, and you get a sense that she's enjoying herself. Um, so it's kind of like, yeah, that's great. And that's a proper star. Like, that's a definition of a star, is to have that sort of presence and that sort of like ability and that sort of draw for an audience to always want to come back and see you. So yeah, I'm so delighted that we get to talk about Jennifer, particularly because I feel like this is a turning point, and hopefully in the next 5 years, she is able to do many other types of roles.
I think so. I think it has to be off the back of both The White Lotus and for the small amount we get her in Promising Young Woman, because of A, what she's doing, and B, the actual film around her. I think there is a lot of promise as to the things that are to come for her. She's a promising young woman, that Jennifer Coolidge.
She is, yeah, a promise being delivered. I absolutely love her. And where would you have first got to know who Jennifer was?
Like many people of our age, I would say it has to be the American Pie franchise as Janine Stifler, but really known to most as Stifler's mom.
You know, I'm 19 years old, and there's a whole world out there. I can't be obsessed with one woman. Just can't be.
I'm glad you're learning, Finchy.
Good. Good.
You want to get it on?
You better clear your schedule.
She is a whirlwind entering that at the end. And it is immediately iconic. It is very easy to forget someone who's in a film for about 20 seconds. However, she delivers exactly what they needed and then some. And therefore, at that moment in time, solidified herself as an icon for a whole generation. It's a wonderful thing to have witnessed, and it's stuck with me ever since. And when she would crop up in each of the films following American Pie, each of the sequels, as overjoyed to see her as I was the first time. What about you, Michael?
Well, mine is, I was going to start the same way you started yours, like most people of our age, Legally Blonde, but because American Pie wasn't really something I was that interested in, which I have to say, having rewatched it for this, particularly her part, I was really taken by how good her character is, like her performance, that it's much more nuanced than I thought. It's like, I just thought she was a bit of a joke, whereas, you know, she's kind of at the similar level to Mrs. Robinson in The Graduate, and what she's delivering and her story in, as you say, limited screen time. But anyway, with Legally Blonde, that would have been like the moment I saw her, and of course loved her as Paulette in the 2001 film with Reese Witherspoon. And we will talk about that more, but I, of course, loved this woman who was very vulnerable and open and wanted love and wanted companionship, both like a friendship and romantic. And through Reese Witherspoon's Elle Woods, she gets those things through the film. Like, she is the subplot, mirroring what's happening with Reese Witherspoon. So I loved her, and I remember going to cinema specifically to see her and maybe Chad Michael Murray in a Cinderella Story based on Legally Blonde. And you know, she'd always turn up, and I started watching Christopher Guest films simply because of her and Catherine O'Hara. And you know, I really was a huge fan of her. So yeah, it's been exciting the last while seeing her get to do things like Swan Song, or even Single All the Way, like we heard earlier, being this sort of just allowed to be full-on Jennifer Coolidge. And I guess Swan Song is like a more reserved sort of, you know, peeling back that. But yeah, so I really enjoy watching all those. But yeah, it would have been Legally Blonde, and I treasure Paulette. And actually the sequel to me of Legally Blonde is it's not great in general, but I think one of its biggest losses is that it doesn't find a way to include Paulette meaningfully. But she is part of the story, and she's there, and she's a joy.
It's funny that I didn't even clock that. Of course, that I should have known that the answer was going to be that for you. If I was a better gay, I would have seen it earlier in my life, but I only saw Legally Blonde for the first time about 2 or 3 years ago.
So you're not a Gold Star
so
gay.
therefore, Not a gold star. But was she also familiar to you from like her other TV appearances? Like, if we go back to last week's episode, for example, she does, of course, crop up alongside Lisa Kudrow in many scenes of an episode in the final series of Friends as Amanda. Is she familiar to you from there, or Sex in the City?
Yeah,
I believe
of
she
course
also
I
crops up
remember
in
in
an
Sex and the
episode.
City with Samantha Jones and catching Samantha having sex with a waiter.
Oh my god! I'm way too fucking fragile to see this. You're fired. This is my big purse party.
And apparently, I only learned this recently while preparing for this podcast, she was going to play the part of the woman falling out the window, which I think is one of the most iconic Sex and the City moments. Would you even, like, someone's like, I'm so bored I could die, and they fall out the window? Do you know this scene? Anyway, but
No.
Jennifer Coolidge was originally going to play that part, but then there was a switcheroo. Totally blanking on the name of the woman from Third Rock from the Sun, really incredible, who plays that cameo in Sex and the City. And now I'm a bad gay. I deserve to have my stars taken. But regardless, Jennifer Coolidge is quite memorable in all those. I remember being in Joey, obviously the spin-off of Friends with Matt LeBlanc. Yeah, I remember turning up in different things. Yeah, so I guess she's just always been there. But again, playing similar types of things. And maybe I was more excited because on film, even if she was a small part, people were smart enough to know she was really funny, so they gave her space to say whatever jokes or whatever it is, and give her a real platform. Like, there's no need for the bend and snap in Legally Blonde, but it goes on for quite a while, and it is a joy, and it's mainly a joy because of what Jennifer Coolidge is doing. I can't imagine another. I couldn't think of another actor who could do it quite as well as her. Yeah, she's very specific, I think, in being very funny and vulnerable and very, like, feminine and, like, proud of it and stupid but intelligent and just all of these different things. Like, she could easily be the butt of the joke, and yet somehow she subverts it effortlessly. And that's just her presence. That's just what she brings to these roles.
Yeah, that's such a good way of putting it. She owns the joke so much that even if the character's the butt of the joke, Jennifer Coolidge is not the butt of the joke.
So I'm really intrigued because I've purposely this time not done homework on, like, her filmography as a whole. Like, I'm really hoping that there's loads of exciting, like, bits of trivia you're going to give us in this introduction, particularly from her early career.
Oh gosh, pressure I didn't need, but we can certainly try. Let me give you a little intro into Jennifer Coolidge. Very importantly, though, Jennifer Audrey Coolidge. Now, isn't that a wonderful thing? So
Delicious.
Jennifer Audrey Coolidge was born on the 28th of August 1961 in Boston, Massachusetts. She grew up and went to school in Norwell, which was a town not far away from Boston, then continuing her education there into university in Boston, and then she moved to New York to study at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And now Wikipedia tells me something very interesting, that while studying there, and I hope this is true, that she worked as a waitress to support herself alongside a Sandra Bullock, which to me, and I'm sure to everyone, a truly, truly gorgeous thought. A staple of American comedy, Miss Coolidge is, of course, both on film and TV. She is probably most widely known for her supporting and guest appearances on the screen. Her first appearance on TV came in an episode of Seinfeld in 1993. She was then a recurring voice performer in King of the Hill from 97 to 99. Was in an episode of Frasier in 2001, as well as Sex and the City and Friends, as we've discussed. Her dancing as Amanda in Friends being particularly memorable to me. And like you said, was in the spin-off of Friends, Joey, however playing a different character, not playing Amanda, from 2004 to 2006 in that show. Other recurring roles for Jennifer came in Nip Tuck, The Secret Life of the American Teenager, and Glee. However, most recently and notably, as we have mentioned, she has just won an Emmy for Outstanding Supporting Actress for Mike White's limited series, The White Lotus, for which she is going to return for that second season. And also in the pipeline coming up, she has Ryan Murphy's The Watcher to look out for. I suppose Ryan Murphy was always going to find her at some point. She must have been on his list forever, right?
Yeah, I for some reason I have it in my mind he's going to get her to play Ivana Trump or Ivanka Trump. Oh my God, Ivana Trump. I mean, oh my God, or maybe both. I love it. But I just feel like Ryan Murphy is just going to keep utilizing her.
Yeah, no, surely this is the beginning of good things for her. Hopefully, not just the Ryan Murphy trap, which does work for some people. It does work for some. Moving away from TV, her first few film appearances from 95 to 98 included Not of This Earth, Plump Fiction, a spoof of course, Pulp Fiction, A Bucket of Blood, and A Night at the Roxbury in 98, which joined her up with some SNL regulars. For example, Mr. Will Ferrell. It was 1999 that brought her into some higher profile appearances in the likes of Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, and of course, this is where we see her as Stifler's mom in The First American Pie, a role that she did then reprise 1, 2, 3 times beyond that as the series continued in the years following. She would further cement that iconic status she gathered there in Legally Blonde, Michael's first encounter with Jennifer in 2001, and its sequel that came a couple of years after that, and is a role that continues to thrive in meme and GIF culture today. A Cinderella Story then followed in 2004, where she played Hilary Duff's evil but endlessly quotable stepmother. To others, though, Jennifer will perhaps be most memorable for her work in Christopher Guest comedies, starting with Best in Show in 2000, and then moving on to A Mighty Wind in 2003, For Your Consideration in 2006, and then Mascots most recently in 2016. Along the way, Coolidge has also appeared in The Broken Hearts Club, which I think is a gay romantic comedy, one that I've not actually seen myself before. Zoolander, Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, Date Movie, Epic Movie, Exterminators, Werner Herzog's Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, and, as you mentioned, Austenland. But most recently, we have had her as Carey Mulligan's mother in Promising Young Woman in 2020, then as Dee Dee Dale in Swan Song, and Aunt Sandy in Netflix's Christmas movie Single All the Way, which came in 2021. She hasn't done much work on stage, which I'm not sure if it surprised me or not, actually, but just a couple of credits I found. So she played Edith in The Women on Broadway in 2001 and 2002, which she did get a Drama Desk nomination for. And then in 2010 in a play called Elling, which I believe was a spin on a Norwegian film of the same name, which was also on Broadway. But that's just sort of kind of scratching the surface. That's hitting all the main beats of Jennifer Coolidge's screen career. But she has truly been in many, many things. But I'm sure something we share that hopefully everyone listening shares too is that we will always be delighted to see her in many, many, many things to come as well.
Yeah, and just to have a pit stop to reflect on that 2001 revival of The Women on stage, like that had Cynthia Nixon and had Kristen, oh my God, and I've forgotten her name again, Kristen Johnson, who is the woman who fell out the window in Sex and the City.
Right, okay.
And anyway, this revival, there's like bad recording and stuff online, but it's something I dream about them returning. As we've talked about in the Annette Bening episode, The Women was turned into a pretty bad movie in the noughties. But the stage play apparently was such a hoot, and those actors. So I think about that revival quite often.
As you ought to.
Yeah, and how wonderful. Oh, she is just wonderful. Like, and I guess another thing to bring up, as well as everything you've covered, is she's such good like press. Like she's such good presence and interviews and all this sort of thing. So it's no surprise that the world really, and gay men in particular, I guess, have fallen a little bit in love with this woman who's a little bit eccentric, a little bit like kooky, I guess. I hate that word, but she is someone you really want to be friends with and have a party with and all this sort of thing, and you also just are delighted to have her around you. There's so many great things we can talk about, basically.
There are truly so many things we could talk about. Well, perhaps we ought to talk at the beginning of your adventure then, perhaps, with Legally Blonde.
Yeah, so Legally Blonde is the 2001 film starring Reese Witherspoon as a woman who joins Harvard Law because she wants to get married to this man who has broken up with her simply because she's a Marilyn and he wants a Jackie Kennedy. So he gets engaged to Selma Blair, who's also in this course at Harvard. Reese Witherspoon gets in, and the three of them like have to battle it out. Or this is kind of the setup of the story, but really what it's about is Reese Witherspoon's character Elle finding her getting empowered and being able to recognize her own strengths and her own ability without conforming to what Harvard standards would be of what a typical lawyer would be. So she like cracks the case because she can identify a gay man because he knows about shoes or something, and she also knows about you can't wash your hair, or you wouldn't wash your hair and go swimming. So she thinks about things in a certain way that helps her in her case. And she is lost in Harvard. She's disconnected from her friends and she's lonely and she wants to go and get her nails done. And she meets Paulette, played by Jennifer Coolidge, who herself is kind of been written off as a dumb. She's not blonde, really, like a dirty blonde, I guess. I don't know. I'm really bad with with colors and labels, but
Yeah, I think that's fine.
she is really like played to be this dumb woman who, with Elle's help, herself gets empowered. Like she gets her dog back from her ex. She learns the bend and snap, which is a way to get a man to like you. So she then gets to engage romantically with the postal man. And it's lovely. She's so lovely, and their friendship is so good. Why are you laughing? It's not meant to be an innuendo.
No, but it's exactly that. No, she does get to engage with a postal man, and who wouldn't want that for themselves?
No, that's the dream. That's like
man.
a porn.
Does anyone even say that? Do Americans say postal man?
Like,
do Irish people say postal
No, well,
man?
I just assumed that was American. I didn't know. I don't know why he just like I'd never say postal man here, and also I wouldn't say postal man. I would try not gender. I'd say post person.
Postal person, the postal person. Well, she does get her moment with the postal person.
Well, no, he is a man. No. Anyway, now we're going to talk about gender. So she's wonderful, and it doesn't surprise me that people would watch that film and be really taken with this character.
I'm with my guy 8 years, and then one day it's, oh, I met someone else. Move out. Dewey kept the trailer and my precious baby Rufus. I didn't even get to throw him a birthday party. No.
And her being down on her luck and her finding her finding her feet. She finds her feet when she does the bend and snap. No, finding a way for her to enjoy life a little bit more is wonderful. And the whole film really, I do rate, even if, it has aged a bit. Like when they're talking about making a third one, I find it interesting how they would update Elle Woods for today. And even in the second one, it really struggles because she goes to like Washington, D.C. and it doesn't quite fit the tone of like her. She's very naive, and it's very lovely to watch her want to have rights for dogs and all this, but it doesn't actually feel genuine, her experience of the world in that way. It becomes a bit more fanciful Whereas the first one, you kind of believe that this woman has won this case in a very kind of legit way.
Yeah, spotting the gay.
Exactly. Well, I will say I had forgotten that, and then I was like, oh, I don't know how to feel about this, but I mean, I don't. But it's also not inaccurate. Like if like I wouldn't know. He said something like, "Don't you be snapping last year's Fendi shoes at me," and I wouldn't know what they. I would basically be like, "Calm down. I'm just getting some water or whatever he's doing while she's banging her feet on the floor." So yeah. But it is clear he's gay. Like that's a homosexual right there. So it's not wrong.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We can go with that device. It is correct and it works. It is. So you said that you watched this film. You didn't go and see this at the cinema for the first time.
Oh, I would have.
But
yeah.
it led you to see other things. Oh, you did.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
but not because of
fabulous.
Jennifer
Oh, I
Coolidge.
would have. Of
Yeah,
course.
I mean, God, this is at the time when I was going to cinema. As much as I could. Legally Blonde is. Would have been really well reviewed and really well regarded. Like I remember at the time, like this is the same Oscar year of like Bridget Jones and Moulin Rouge, and talk about like, maybe if Renée Zellweger wasn't and Bridget Jones wasn't happening, maybe Reese Witherspoon would find her way to the Oscar category, which seems wild. But at the time, that was kind of talked about, and she was Golden Globe nominated, and the film was a hit. So yeah. And I absolutely loved Jennifer Coolidge in it, so was so delighted to see her. I would have then gone to see Cinderella Story, where she plays the evil stepmother in this adaptation. Yeah. And what do you think of Legally Blonde as you've seen it more recently? So probably have less of a nostalgic kind of attachment to it as me?
I think it must then hold up. I think it really worked for me. I think it's very funny. I think Reese is doing a fabulous job. I think she is terrific in the lead, and Jennifer Coolidge in particular. It is just so, and you kind of described it already anyway, but she's just so warm and lovable, and any of the kind of traits that you're meant to pick up on about her, whatever it might be, whoever the kind of person she might be, ultimately the thing that it is written that way and she performs it that way is that she is just a endearing, lovable, wonderful person who you're supposed to really care for and warm to, and that's why the film has so much heart, and I think she's behind that. So no, I think it holds up very well, I'd imagine. Well, I'm saying holds up like I saw in the past. No, it works. It is fun, it's a good time, and even if you're watching it now for the first time, it is still very quotable without the nostalgia factor.
Yeah. And it's not surprising, like with that and American Pie, she would be typecast in these sorts of, even if she's not like aware of her sexuality, but quite sexual and aesthetic, almost like a blow up doll or something. Like when we think of Cinderella Story, like they really lean into that, and they lean into all of the sort of tropes of what's happening, like an older woman that wants sex or wants to be desired sexually, and there's different ways that's been utilized in films, but I think that like 1-2 punch of those two films really put her in that position in more mainstream films. Because what's interesting to me, and thinking about her career and the timings of everything, is that she joined like the Christopher Guest troupe like at this time too, in between American Pie and Legally Blonde. But I mean, I guess unsurprising, like that Christopher Guest movies are not huge money-making films, so that wasn't informing people. But she still was playing that type. So in Best in Show, which was the first film she was in 2000 of Christopher Guest, in the first Christopher Guest film, in 2000, she is playing this gold-digging wife who is also secretly having an affair with her dog trainer, played by Jane Lynch. And I mean, we talk about quotable stuff. I talk about everybody. If someone's like, "How are things going?" Whatever, it's like, well, we could talk or not talk forever, and still find things to talk or not talk about. I just like her introduction, like this mockumentary thing about all these people in this dog show. is so funny to me, and there's so many different like funny parts to it, but her character, particularly that first introduction, to me is golden.
Yeah, we both have so much in common. We both love soup, and we love the outdoors. We love snow peas, and talking and not talking. We could not talk or talk forever and still find things to not talk about.
And it's no wonder, even if she's not in the films enough, because she's not in the Christopher Guest films enough even, but the joy still comes from almost that you just get that little bit of her. It's like teasing you with, you just get a little bit. She's so good that she would probably dominate or the whole thing if there was too much Coolidge. So you just get a little bit of Coolidge. And it's the same in like A Mighty Wind or whatever, but these moments that she comes in, she absolutely steals the show. Like a scene of her in A Mighty Wind humming when they do this hum like salute or like to someone who's, is it they've died or something, and the whole room's humming, and then it just cuts to her kind of ah, and it's just her face and the set of her and the way she's standing. She is so naturally funny that I do believe that Christopher Guest probably had to be like, it can only be moments because she's too funny to have on screen all the time.
It's true. Another film of his I really enjoy is For Your Consideration, where Catherine O'Hara is making this movie, and all of a sudden they're like, I hear Oscar buzz. So it's all about, will the film be positioned for Oscars? It's really very much a send-up, I think, of films, like mid-budget films that someone like Harvey Weinstein would have had his dirty fingers all over and was like, okay, let's make, the shipping news. Like, this is an Oscar film all of a sudden, or whatever film he would find. Tumbleweeds or any of these things you want to talk about. And but the thing is with this film, in For Your Consideration, it is not very good. And Jennifer Coolidge plays one of the producers who clearly producing is not something she's highly experienced in. But when she's shown like the marketing images, and one of them is like 4 heads in a pie, and she's like,
someone's killed their children and made them into cookies, and I want to go see that.
What the fuck? Like, and as someone who works in marketing of culture, that experience of somebody senior coming in and having an opinion that really isn't helpful, but it from the outside is quite funny because it's so like seems absurd, happens. Like, so that's a real sort of person that exists, and I just love that. I mean, a bit like my feeling on a lot of Christopher Guest films is there's a really funny jokes in it and there's a funny idea, but when it is stretched over 90 minutes, sometimes it doesn't like lead to the best film ever made. But I'm still entertained and I still enjoy it. And yeah, I mean, in his troupe that we referred to earlier, like there's, Catherine O'Hara, who again consistently gives amazing performances. Like her not getting an Oscar nomination For Your Consideration, it's like, I didn't get nominated. Like, that is incredible. She's like looking in a bin. Or her, like, and suddenly her leg stops working properly when she's supposed to go on and do a dog show. Anyway, there's all these amazing people, like Fred Willard and John Michael Higgins. There's just so many. There's so many. So I'm really glad to have rewatched some of them for this, because it's just like a lovely time with them all, and everyone just seems to be having a nice time. And you imagine offset, they were all having a great time. And Jennifer Coolidge, as you say, even if she's not utilized maybe as much as we would want, she does get these really wonderful nuggets of just excelling at the sort of comedy that Christopher Guest does.
Yeah, no, for sure. Which is your favorite of the Christopher Guest films?
That is an interesting question. What is my favorite? I guess, I mean, the truth is, none of them jump out to me as a favorite. And I wouldn't be rushing back to rewatch the whole thing. Instead, I look at clips of them other than obviously we're rewatching them in full for this. I guess after just rewatching three of them, The Mighty Wind, For Your Consideration, and Best in Show, the one I'd recommend for a general audience is Best in Show. But because I'm a film buff, For Your Consideration just like hits upon certain things which I find particularly interesting. And everybody's very, very good in all of them. It's just really fun. But yeah, I guess Best in Show. What about you?
Yeah. I think Best in Show is the best crafted of these ones, are certainly the ones that Jennifer Coolidge is in. Obviously, you've got, well, I guess he didn't create This Is Spinal Tap, but Christopher Guest's obviously in that. And Waiting for Guffman, which she's not in, but that is probably the first one I saw about a small town Amdram company, so it is just naturally very funny as well. But I think Best in Show is the strongest of those, and just the mockumentary style of it works very, very well in it. So it has some very, very standout moments, Jennifer Coolidge included, but of everyone else too.
Yeah, it is fun. And they're the sort of movies when I, like, if I think about them, I'll just start smiling to myself because I'm like, oh, that's fun. That's like a lovely thing to put out in the world and bring a little joy.
Yeah, and probably also without these Christopher Guest things, we may not have Schitt's Creek as we then knew it, because they might not have had the Catherine O'Hara connection to the Levies if it wasn't without they're consistently working together in the Guest films.
I still wish they did a real fake mockumentary thing about Catherine O'Hara's Oscar campaign For Your Consideration. So, like, trying to get an Oscar nomination for a part where she's failing to get an Oscar nomination and failing to get it in real life. Which, honestly, I thought was going to happen. Like, because that, again, was talked about at the time of, like, oh, because she is great in it, and I couldn't tell you who was nominated instead that year. But yeah, but also, it seems like Catherine wouldn't give a fuck about an Oscar nomination. Maybe she would, maybe I'm wrong. But like, she's delighted to just be doing her thing. And speaking of, like, if we're going to that time in Jennifer Coolidge's career, and I guess being very much like front and center in a movie, like, or being very prominent, or more so, like a Cinderella Story. Surprisingly, she's more prominent than my memory had her. I thought she was, obviously is arced around like the antagonist, and she is the antagonist's stepmother, to Hilary Duff's Cinderella. But she is properly, like, she's fun. She's, she is saying nasty, but like enjoyably nasty things. She is just a hoot. Like, it is such a hoot, that film. And like, Hilary Duff is the word coming to me is serviceable, because I don't have any like strong feelings towards Hilary Duff, but she's good in this, I guess. Like, she's doing exactly what's needed. Chad Michael Murray,
charming,
is very handsome. I mean, that as a teenager, I love Chad Michael Murray. Now it just makes me feel uncomfortable because he looks so young, but because I'm so much older. And I more relate, as it all happens, but I always related to Jennifer Coolidge, but now it's like I'd be her. But she's great. So even when she's like making sure the diner which she runs and she wants Hilary Duff to stay in, she's taking like Hilary Duff's dreams away of leaving and trapping her in the diner. It's still good. Like, I think she's delivering a really good performance of something that easily could be one note.
Yeah, no, it is fabulous, and it's not for nothing that this is another one of those quotable favourites amongst, I guess, our generation in particular. The whole "something stinks around here and it's not the fish." There's almost nothing to that line, but it's her delivery of it that means that stuff like that is still quoted today. And just seeing her lying out in sunbathing with the little kind of half goggles over her eyes to stop the sun getting in, and they've just got these little holes like bored in them or something. The image itself is just wonderful. She is the perfect fit of like kind of faux class, pretending that she is class. However, she's the kind of cheapened version, the sort of the Dolly Parton aesthetic brought to life in the woman running a diner. she is doing very wonderful things in it, and the kind of the switching between the making Hilary Duff's character believe sometimes that maybe she's on her side, and of course she's not, because she's playing the version of the evil stepmother.
I didn't get in.
Oh, no. Oh, and you studied so hard.
I can't believe that I actually thought I had a chance.
Oh, Sam, I'm heartbroken. Oh, life can be so unfair. Well, just look at the bright side. You have a job at the diner for the rest of your life.
But I think this film, it is not a great film, and it falls into the trappings of many other things of its type that are trying to just rehash an age-old story and do it for a new audience, a tween audience, whatever it might be. But this one stands up because it is very, very charming. It's irresistible. I think if this one's on and you're in a particular mood, it's just going to work for you. It's going to do what you need from it, and Jennifer Coolidge is going to give you the lols. So
my favorite bit is when she's in the car.
I am very, 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 very upset about this.
You don't look upset.
It's the Botox.
And it's just the delivery of it, it's the tone, and her being able to like do that, but also be evil, but also be, you know, a vulnerable woman that needs support from this stepchild and has two useless actual biological children. Anyway, I'm sold. It's perfect use of her mainstream sort of persona.
yeah, no, absolutely. It works. And I think mostly in debt to her and her natural talent and presence.
And I get the film that like jumps out to me to go on to next is Austenland, because that is a film which is equally indebted to Jennifer Coolidge, because but with less to sell it in any other way. I actually think the concept of what Austenland is, or the setup,
so
is
fun.
Is such a good one. So you have Kara Russell, who is this disenchanted, unhappy American woman who loves Jane Austen. She has like a cardboard cutout, like a life-size one of Colin Firth as Mark Darcy, and she uses all of her savings to travel to the UK to be part of this immersive experience where you become part of an Austen world called Austenland. And you have different, well, we don't know actually at the start, but there's different characters that are placed there, so they're actors playing these parts, and then you also have other guests. So Jennifer Coolidge is another guest who Kerry meets at the airport, and from the off you already know that she is A, a hoot, but B, doesn't really know what she signed up for, and is just like, very much like in the White Lotus, she wants a good time.
So why are you going to this place?
Because I'm gonna look great in those wench gowns. Ooh, gosh, I hope they give me a cape too.
And she's kind of has more money than sense. And yeah, like, it's a real, the where it falls down is, I don't think the film itself actually has much love for Jane Austen beyond just being romantic. Like, there's nothing particular about Jane Austen apart from the like reservedness, but they don't really utilize that far beyond just stealing directly from Pride and Prejudice. Like, it's basically Pride and Prejudice with no sort of nuance to it for what they're trying to do, which is a real shame.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it falls into the idea that the joy of the romanticism in Austen comes from the buttoned upness, but it's not, it's the relinquishing of that. And it seems to completely miss that, and it makes her character's obsession with Jane Austen be a joke, because why should she be? Because it's too prim and made to look like dated and almost childish. And it's like, it's someone doesn't understand Jane Austen here. The premise still works, you get the point, but it's maneuvering around the Jane Austen stuff kind of unfairly.
I think so, and I think the team behind it must have thought it was funny enough that Americans would be dressed up in old Englishy things and speak in this way, which is not funny. Like I would not find that funny. I find it kind of irritating, the like faux poshness of some of it too. Not endearing. But yeah, Jennifer Coolidge. Having said all of this, what I do think works is kind of countering contradicting but what we've both said. Like Jennifer Coolidge pretending to read and pretending to be like dating someone and not getting it is wonderful.
I sure would like you to turn me upside down in the garden.
Pardon me?
I think Miss Charming just means she loves the outdoors.
Oh, right.
Basically, this is a SNL skit that would have worked really well in like 5 minutes with Jennifer Coolidge doing this, but yeah, otherwise it's a bit lost.
It's drawn out,
and yeah, and then they do like strange things, like they bring in this incredible, like one of the most beautiful men you'll ever see, played by Ricky Whittle. Like so beautiful, but it doesn't have anything to the story. Like there's just, it feels like there's events happening, and you're like, but why? Like, what's this got to do with anything?
Yeah, no, it is just sort of wheeling people out. It is. It's drawn out. It doesn't hit enough laughs where something like that should, or make you fall for it, but it kind of knocks everything down. The Darcy element to it as well is very confusing, even after being kind of subject to many versions of Pride and Prejudice through Bridget Jones and this thing and the next thing. We understand the point of the Darcy character and what they stand for, and the journey you have to go on with Darcy to find the romance and find the person within. However, I still lost that watching it, because, like, God, this guy is such a fucking bore. Like,
such a
bore. But it is going to be him. Is it going to be him? And I was like, why? At what point am I going to give a shit about this? And it kind of dicks you around with some twists that are just sort of aggravating as well, and not really helpful and not needed. So ultimately, it is all about Coolidge, where you will find the joy in this film. And there is joy in there, like you say, because I did actively laugh very loud at some of the moments. Her just mocking the English accent is funny. Righto! And all of these things I just argued, and have I got something in my eye? These things really worked for me.
It made me want to see her in like I wish that she was cast as whatever the hell the Bonham Carter part was in Les Mis, like doing Master of the House and all this sort of Master of the House. Like, I just think that would be wonderful. I don't know why she hasn't been cast in these like fakey Englishy type things, which Les Mis isn't even said in England, so it would have made a difference if she came in and did this odd English accent. I'm all for her doing more British work. I just think it was fun, like in the right type of thing. Like, nobody wants to see her as Mrs. Lovett in Sweeney Todd. I don't think that would work, but or maybe it would. Maybe she'd be terrific.
Let's give it a go. But it's no wonder they must have been like, well, thank goodness for Jennifer Coolidge when they were putting that film together and cutting it. Like, good job she's here, because otherwise this is flat.
It's pretty bad. And a quick, like, I think a good example of her or Jennifer Coolidge being in like a mediocre type of film, like a rom-com film, and being the best friend or the aunt in this case, is Single All the Way, which I don't rate as a movie. I mean, I'm the type of person that's just very grateful that, you know, these sorts of queer stories are being told, even if the queer story being told is very heteronormative in a lot of the beats that it's hitting, and, you know, but then it also does have like Jocelyn from Schitt's Creek and Kathy Najimy and Jennifer Coolidge like shouting at children, trying to direct them, stealing like Christmas decorations for jewelry, and it's just fun. Like, it's a fun film, really sweet, easily watched. It's one of those rom-coms where you're less interested in the actual like Michael Urie and his love interest, and much more in the supporting cast. But that's no bad thing when the supporting casts are like Jennifer Coolidge putting on a pantomime, or not pantomime, sorry, the Nativity. Oh my God, I don't want any religious person to be angry that I confuse those things. I know the difference. But she puts on this nativity play that's really silly, and she's dressed as like Linda from I was going to say from Wicked, from the Wizard of Oz. I'm not from Wicked.
Both work. Both work.
Although yeah, they both work. Yeah, I just love that film. And that's a film as we come to Christmas I would recommend. It's on Netflix. If you want a 90-minute diversion, go and do it. I think it's sweet.
It is sweet. Well, I watched it for the first time with my friends in Poland on a Christmas trip last year when we were very hungover, munching on fast food on this pull-out bed. And I was watching it being like, gosh, this isn't good, is it? However, I had a great time. And I actually rewatched it the other day. And it's also September as we record this. And it worked for me even more this time. So the things I was really aware of the first time, like there's a lot of strange moments. One of them is, I guess he's a producer for advertising company works and takes some of the photographs. And it's men, handsome men wearing shaving foam on their faces to emulate beards, and there's a lot of this, and the imagery is just very barmy, and it just doesn't work, and it keeps coming back again and again. But otherwise,
But the gays want to see hot men. Like, that's the only reason that montage and stuff. I assume, because I agree, like, that is wild. It's wild that he does that.
But then they're doing it again, even without the Santa costumes. So you think, oh, it's a Santa thing. But then it's not. They're just in the woods doing it. And you're like, what on earth? But compared to other Hallmark type movies of this nature, I think this one does stand up quite a good bit above most of them. So I would do the same as you and recommend it as a Christmas diversion, should that be your cup of tea.
Yeah. And let's round this off with a recent film of Jennifer's, which is another queer film, and a film which well, firstly, I helped fund. Now that sounds over the top. I gave it like.
God, you're so generous.
I gave it 15 quid in a Kickstarter, but I've been following its journey for quite a long time. I didn't fund it in any way. I probably. What did I pay for? Like someone's coffee on the set. I didn't do anything. But it's Swan Song, which is a film by Todd Stephens, starring Udo Kier as this elderly gay man who has come back to his hometown where he had a hair salon which, you know, did all the bells of the town and all this sort of thing. And he's like, people remember him and they talk about it. He had a very elegant presence which people seem to really celebrate. And he returns to the town to end his days, essentially, or like fulfill things that have been left unfulfilled. Can't think of any words, but essentially does something like that. He wants to get shit done. And it's really, really, really lovely. Like, I really love this film. Again, it's not the best film ever made, and it's kind of going on beats that have well trodden in terms of films, but I don't think we've seen many queer stories in exactly the same way. It's not dreary. It's kind of a drama comedy, more so drama, I guess. And it's his interaction with people and his experience of the world and what he's like learned. I just think it's really like this kind of delicate film, and I really love it. I think Udo Kier is amazing in this film, and I think Jennifer Coolidge, who plays someone that he trained up and now owns a salon, and he needs to get products from her. She's really good. Like, she is giving this really authentic performance. Like, she's playing a real person, not like this Jennifer Coolidge person we all know and love. She's playing a real person. Like, she's very reserved. She like calmly walks in and says,
Pat? Is it you?
No.
You look so athletic. Wow. Come on in. Now, Tristan, check this out. This man gave me my first job in the business.
And now he is mopping your vivante.
Yeah. Shouldn't have done that, but
After all, you gotta catch this guy a break, because he really is a legend. This is Patrick Pitzenbarger. He did all the socialites of Sandusky back in the day. That's right. Once upon a time.
She appreciated him, but is also standoffish because she doesn't really know what his motivation is, and it's clear that they've had a disagreement. And she pops up again, but she's really good. I honestly think if this was like a big film and she had a moment like that, or a few moments like that, that would get more awards sort of traction. Like, and Udo Kier would definitely be getting awards traction.
Yeah.
I really, really like it.
Good. Yeah, I think it is a special little film. Like you say, we're seeing something very well trodden, very familiar. To be honest, most of the time quite uninspired, even as queer stories go. But seeing this kind of story through a queer lens is fresh and is exciting. And it gives a wonderful opportunity to a great actor in Udo Kier, who is having a lot of fun. But yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying about her. It is, you get the layers of what is going on with their character. Normally, if you saw someone not giving in to the lead character's whims to basically steal some shampoo from her, you'd be like, she's the bad guy. But she's not. She also was hard done by him in the past. She kind of says something to the effect of, I'm still waiting on, my final paychecks from you. You didn't pay me. Life happens. You do often have to branch out and move away from someone and make the most for yourself. Of course she's going to start up her own business. And you get all of that. So she does respect him and she gives him the time. But yeah, like you say, and it's all there. It's allowing Jennifer Coolidge to do something that we haven't seen her do before. So add something new to her repertoire. But we still get something that she can uniquely do, which is, in some lines, she is kind of cutting him down, but in monotone and without sort of having to lean into it too much. It's very, very, very good work. She's great, and she brings what would have just been a nothing character absolutely to life. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's in no way dumb in this, like, which I think she plays so often. Like, to me, it's like shocking. Even in Promising Young Woman, her part as Carey Mulligan's mother, she is coded, or like literally doesn't understand what's jokes and things like that. And although she's really great in it and very reserved or toned down, it's still a similar part that she's been playing, where Swan Song is giving her this, I don't know, like watching it I was like, God, she could do anything. Like, I really think Jennifer Coolidge is a better actor than most people realize. And I think watching Swan Song just made me really excited of like what would be in the future.
Yeah, no, for sure. We're very lucky to have these three things in particular to have come out in the past year or two to cement the promise that is there, that we are going to get so much more exciting stuff from Jennifer Coolidge, and cannot wait for it.
Yeah. So you're a single all the way, White Lotus and Swan Song. They're the three you refer to, right?
Promising Young Woman.
Promising Young Woman. Okay, yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, let's all of those.
Single all the way too. I'm all for having a Christmas movie every year with Jennifer Coolidge in it.
Would love it.
I'm up.
Yeah, and I'd love her to be the lead in a rom-com. Like, that is something that seems mad we haven't got, seeing as she has to play these friends in rom-coms or aunts or whatever. Like, give her a proper love story that's interesting and nuanced, please.
Yeah, no, please do it now.
But before we go into actually what our one wish will be for her future career, I will be doing a little quiz with you, or a little game even.
Ooh. I'm pretending like I haven't expected this, but ooh.
Yeah, it's the same thing we do every episode. But now you get to pick a new prize.
Oh, I want to just kind of look exactly like Jennifer Coolidge. And look and sound exactly like her. Maybe not forever, but for a day. Just because I would find great joy in just being her for a day.
Well, do you know what I think would be even better? And I'm not to, like, I could do this myself. But like being John Malkovich, so I wouldn't want to like have her and not know what to do. I just want to be in her mind for a few hours.
There we go. That is better. I love that even more.
In fact, why do we not have being Jennifer Coolidge? That would have been like that's a perfect example of that film.
Wonderful idea. There's surely some gay writer director out there. Come on, listen. That's perfect. It's perfect.
But first, you have to win this little game that I've created, which I'm calling A Gal's Best Friend.
Ooh.
So to celebrate Jennifer Coolidge's presence as a gal's best friend in such things as Austenland or Legally Blonde, I want you to identify the gals and guys potentially in these clips. And they're from rom-coms where we have the classic trope of a female lead and their best friend who helps them on their way.
Okay.
So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
So let's go with the first clip.
I was listening to him talk about how much he loved his wife, and suddenly I was crying. It's like what happens when I watch those phone company ads. I don't have to see the whole thing, just the part where the daughter gives the mother the refrigerator with a big red bow on it.
Yes, the Polaroid commercial. 2 5-year-olds at their grandfather's birthday party.
They're making the album.
Oh, with all the glue. That kills me.
The accent should be a giveaway on the second voice.
I thought you'd... This I have down straight away.
It's Meg Ryan.
Correct.
And so is it... It must be Rosie O'Donnell's Sleepless in Seattle.
Correct. Yes. That is 100% right.
Good. I was just suddenly like, it's not Carrie
classic.
Fisher. And I was like, no, of course it's Rosie. There we go.
Yeah, what a movie. What a pairing.
What a gorgeous pairing.
Okay, so full marks so far. Let's go and listen to the second one.
Okay.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Oh, yes, I did.
I did not come all the way down here to turn into a slut.
I did. A big old whole slut if I can.
Look, all I want to do is run, read, relax, and roll over. Oh, Lord, and I pick up old soft football players.
What was your last wide receiver? Okay.
Oh, gosh. I thought these would be so much more immediate to me. Old soft... Okay, what could this be? Is this Estella Got Her Groove Back? It is. Okay, yeah. Great. So it is, of course, Angela Bassett and Whoopi Goldberg.
Correct.
Yay! Oh,
they're in Jamaica having a great old time.
Sure they are. What a time. I wish I could have that time. Sad.
So, here is your third clip.
This is so much fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's so fun it should be illegal. You know? Speaking of illegal, like, have you ever, like, committed a crime?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Go on.
Oh. Oh, that one's not ringing. Have you ever committed a crime? Yes, I did. Oh, the voice sounds like... Who is the voice there? This is... This is an 80s movie. No.
No. There's an Oscar winner in the clip, I'll say. One of the voices.
No, I'm not going to get this one.
So, the first name is Heather Burns. But you would know her better as Miss Rhode Island. From Miss Congeniality. With Sandra Bullock. So that is the clip. It's where she's trying to, like, get these people drunk to find out information. But Heather Burns is, like, the supporter of Sandra during the movie. Have you seen Miss Congeniality?
Yeah, but I'm not mad at myself for not knowing this one.
Okay. Poor Sandra.
It's a good film, but It's not in. I'd be more upset if I didn't get a Meg Ryan rom-com, for example.
Well, that's a subject for another day of that. But sure, you're still winning. We didn't say you have to get them all right. You just have to get most of them right.
Oh.
So let's go on to the next clip.
Okay, here it comes.
To being 30, I've decided it's going to be totally awesome.
Of course it is. You're thin, you're hot, you can get any guy you want.
Biatch. Not to mention Biatch, the hottest magazine editor in the world.
Second hottest.
Tied for first?
Deal.
The hottest magazine editor in the world. The second hottest. God, I'm shit at this. Not to mention magazine editor.
Who do you think's like the epitome of like a gal's best friend in rom-coms of like the early noughties? I feel like this person is referred to quite often for this.
In rom-coms from the early noughties, the epitome of a gal's best friend. I don't know, like a Parker Posey. Nah, she didn't do much of that.
And I will say it involves kind of transporting. But not in a sci-fi way, in kind of like a Freaky Friday sort of way.
Oh! Body swap. Oh, 13 going on 30.
That is 100% correct.
Okay, so it is Jennifer Garner and I can't. I'm sorry, I can't remember. Her
my God,
friend.
I can't believe we're gonna have to do her as an episode for this. Judy Greer.
Oh, of course it is Judy Greer. Of course it is. Oh, sorry, Judy. Oh, I was never a fan of 13 going on 30. I'm sorry.
Let's go then to the second last one. You have to start redeeming yourself.
Oh, dear.
Or it's tricky. You're not going to be in Jennifer Coolidge's mind. I was going to say body, but that sounds totally inappropriate. So yeah, let's go with this next clip, the fifth clip.
I absolutely, totally and utterly adore you. And I just think you are the most beautiful woman in the world. And more importantly, I genuinely believe, and I've believed for some time now, that we could be best friends. So what do you think?
Lucky me.
I think Emma Chambers was in there, who played Alice in The Vicar of Dibley. It is. Okay, so it must be Notting Hill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's her and Julia Roberts, when Julia Roberts is brought to the party of Emma Chambers' character. And she is like, I always knew we'd be best friends. And Julia Roberts has no idea what to do. She's incredibly like, fucking hell, I don't know who you are. But yeah, Emma Chambers, a delightful person who deserved more film roles. But what she gave us in Notting Hill and things like Vicar Dibley is terrific.
Yeah, wonderful. We love Emma Chambers.
Great. Well, all you have to do is get one part of this next clip right, which I'm pretty certain you will, and you'll have won your prize.
Okay, well, I'm crossing my fingers. Okay.
I wanted to shout it from the rooftops, but Jules said no. Pumpkin, no. This is Kimmy's day. Let's not take the attention away from Kimmy.
Oh,
Dear, sweet, adorable, chocolate-covered Kimmy. Those were her very words.
I think I'm gonna cry.
Me too.
Oh my God, the perfect My Best Friend's Wedding with Rupert Everett and what I would consider to be the best movie star performance of all time, Julia Roberts.
Yeah. And you also hear the wonderful voice of Cameron Diaz in that clip too. Well, amazing. You are a winner.
Yes.
You've won. You're going into the portal and you're going to spend, hopefully Jennifer's doing something really wild when you're in her mind.
I hope so, but PC and acceptable for me to be there, more to the point.
Oh my God. consent is important. of course.
Absolutely. I don't want to be there against her will.
So, to round this off, like, what is the one film you want to see Jennifer do?
So this was a tricky one because the typecasting is so specific with her. It's quite hard to remove from that. However, the work she's done recently in those films we've described has kind of helped it. And I have a sort of idea, and there's kind of different ways we could perhaps go with it. So I guess I'm still thinking of types of roles that I could imagine happening. And I'm thinking a movie star who would have been at the absolute top of their game. So I'm not going to name any names, but think of a movie star who might have been in rom-coms in the 90s, noughties, absolute top of their game. And then because of the way the Hollywood system works, gets shat out on the other side and then doesn't seem to be getting the work anymore. So we have Jennifer Coolidge playing this character 20, 30 years on, maybe trying to rekindle a career for themselves, or just what is going on in their lives. So there's two kind of angles for this. So I'm either thinking the quite bleak angle, very character focused, of, say, a Darren Aronofsky doing a Black Swan, or The Wrestler, or we're getting The Whale coming up with Brendan Fraser type thing, where you're very focused on one performer, and it's probably going to be pretty upsetting in times, but it gives that performer so much of a chance to really show themselves. So a star who's fallen from grace, but not because of their own doing, but because of the stupid fucking systems, and them trying to rise up through it, but they can't, because that's the way these things are designed. So giving a lot of room for nuance, a lot of room for complexity, that would work. Or we see a version which isn't dissimilar to a John Sayles Passion Fish, and we get her in that version, the Mary McDonnell version we see in that, where it's looser, it's funnier, it's more playful, and then it can be a relationship type thing. We have that wonderful thing with Alfred Woodard and Mary McDonnell in Passion Fish. We get someone to play alongside her, and it's maybe more about that, a funnier take, a lighter take, but something where she could still get an Oscar nomination, like Mary McDonnell did for Passion Fish.
Yeah.
But thinking of that kind of person,
And Alfred should have.
and Alfred fucking should have too, absolutely. So that's my idea, my
Should have
suggestion.
won.
Should have fucking won. Absolutely with you there. What about you?
Well, and now Jennifer will.
Yes, exactly.
Mine is, so I think something that Jennifer Coolidge does really well, and I mean it has been utilized a bit, but could be utilized even more, is a sort of fierceness or strength, or sort of like lack of inhibition. So like will just go for broke sometimes with what she wants.
Yeah.
Which, you know, we see in The White Lotus, or Single All the Way, or even Bad Lieutenant, the film we didn't really get to talk about, Werner Herzog's film. She is kind of loose in a very exciting way on screen. And I was thinking of a sort of gangster mafia style film where she is the wife of like the head boss. He's been killed and people want to like are now trying to get hold of his power. But she, who's seen as like this dumb sort of blonde, you know, gold digging wife, she takes charge and tries to keep control of what was rightfully his. And kind of it could be a revenge story. It could also be about her finding her power and her position in this world. And I'm thinking of reuniting her with Emerald Fennell to make this film. And I just think it could be really exciting and fun. And I want it to be kind of pulpy, but also have something to say about the world around us, like gender, about expectations of women, particularly of women of that age, which are hypersexualized by those sorts of men in scenarios, and are undermined. So I think that would be really fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm 100% sold.
But Ryan Murphy will be doing a Trump series where she'll be playing some part.
That's the reality of what's coming on. Damn it!
I've no idea. The reality is, Ryan Murphy has something up his sleeve. I feel like we badmouth Ryan Murphy way too much on this show because, I mean, he does make films and TV shows which oftentimes are underrepresented. I'm thinking of Pose in terms of getting that off the ground, but yeah, maybe I'm just being too guilt driven now and think he actually he's not a force for overly amazing things, and I want him to let Sarah Paulson go. Whatever he has on her.
Oh, but no, I am grateful for the things he has brought, because he is a power for mostly good in the Hollywood circuit, I hope.
Well, on that note, this is the end of our TV miniseries. We started with Jeffrey Wright, then we had Jean Smart, Lisa Kudrow, and now Jennifer Coolidge, and it's been a real joy to all four of these people. I don't believe I'm forgetting anyone, right? There's four of them. Terrific, and I'm excited to move on. Maybe we'll do it next year. If anyone wants to tell us that they enjoyed it or have any sort of feedback that way, it'd be great to hear from you. And yeah, maybe we will do it again next year with a handful of TV actors that or actors who've been celebrated for TV, and we'd wish more film success for them for the Emmy Awards next year. And next time we'll be moving on to a spooky mini season, which likely might only be one episode, but it could be two. It really depends on what we do.
Who says what a mini season is? 1 episode, 2 episodes, whatever. It's all the same.
So yeah, where can people find us, Scott?
Hiding under rocks mostly, but when we're not there, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Don't Know Her Pod. No, that's a lie. Don't Know Her Pod. Why am I...
underscore pod.
Why am I... God, I'm always so good at this. Pod. I always reel this straight off my tongue, and today, no. Don't Know Her underscore pod on Twitter and Instagram. Or, no, I always am very good. Or... at the old emails. Oh my god, I'm really blah blah blah. You can get us there too, though, at don'tknowherpod@gmail.com.
Brilliant. And please do rate, review us. That really helps other people find us. And if you could think of one person that you think would enjoy any of our episodes, this one or previous ones, please do share on. As always, we are very grateful that you have listened, and I'm very grateful, Scott, that you joined me in this celebration of a singular talent.
Thank you. I was delighted to have joined.
And on that, we should do like the dance like she does with the awards.
Yeah, she's just like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
Super. Well, thank you all, guys, and have a good rest of your day.
Thanks. Bye.